welcome into another edition of the JMU Sports News Podcast. I'm Ben Conlon, and I've got Jack Fitzpatrick here. We're going to do a deep dive into JMU's track and field program today.
Let's go. Perfect.
We're talking mostly football, I would guess.
I would verge out and say primarily only football.
Yeah, we might do a quick end of thing, Olympic sports around the world.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Around the world of Olympic sports. But I think we missed last week because JMU was coming off another postponement, and then we're heading into the William & Mary game. But we just kind of wanted a week off last week. This week, we feel like there's enough content to discuss football at a more in-depth analysis we can give it, because before it was Elon, Robert Morris, and Morehead State, and then a 2-week break. But now we kind of see where this team is. They scored on their first 4 possessions after missing 2 weeks in a row, showed no signs of rust, and absolutely blew the doors off of William & Mary. A team that I thought had a chance to kind of give JMU a run for their money. JMU was down a bunch of starters. I thought William & Mary was going to be at full strength. Little did I know that their number 1 running back and Hollis Mathis, their quarterback that I really like, both missed the game due to injuries, and JMU just clobbered them.
Very important to note that they were also without the 2 key components of their offense. Obviously, they gave up 38 points, and JMU was the dominant team, but I think it certainly could have been more competitive, especially early.
Isn't it hilarious that, granted, they were down Percy didn't play.
Percy didn't play.
Solomon Van Horst didn't. Practically the whole stable of running backs were out, except for Juwan Hamilton, and then Kalon Black had himself a day. But it's funny that as JMU fans were Gage isn't going? Oh no. As JMU fans, we had soured on Cole Johnson so much that the starter of the first 4 games of the season was coming into this game as the starter, and we had been promised Gage, and we were like, this is it. This is terrible.
Right. Cole Johnson had basically been the guy you mentioned those first 3 games, and he was the starting quarterback. So maybe a little bit too much panic. But after the way he left the Elon game, I understand. he played his best game of the season, which I think was maybe a little unexpected. But 16-22, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interception. So he managed the game, which is all you really need to do if you're a JMU quarterback this spring.
Here's the thing. Was that Cole Johnson's best game as a JMU Duke?
The spot start he had, as a freshman, I think he was a freshman, against Elon, he was pretty great in that game. I think he threw for 275, and he was legit. So I'll give him that one. But this one, his best one in a very long time.
This is his first game that I remember in a long time. He didn't throw an interception.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a perfect way to step in. And your boy Kyle Adams got some play.
My boy. Yeah, Kyle Adams got in there. He ran for 19 yards. I'm going to be honest with you, Jack. I didn't watch a second of this game. I didn't go back and watch any of this game.
I watched the highlights. I watched the highlights.
I don't even think I watched the highlight. I couldn't even tell you what any of the plays looked like. So we're very good to come in here and analyze this, having not seen it. It's, Saturday in the spring, man. I got stuff going on. So it's hard for me
Saturday in March Madness.
Yeah, it's impossible. So I probably could have. I don't know what I was doing.
You were covering a baseball game.
Baseball, and I just didn't want to watch. So I stat watched. They were up, by the time I got to baseball and got all settled, I think they were already up 21-0. And I was like, all right, this isn't.
Well, yeah, because they scored the first half. I think they went into the break with some huge lead, and then after halftime, things kind of slowed down for them. But yeah, they had 28 points in the first half, and then 10 in the third quarter, and then 0 in the fourth. But
cruise control.
Is it too crazy to say that JMU's running backs, top to bottom, are all starters on other FCS programs?
I think you can get pretty close to. Well, yeah. If you go the whole FCS, yeah, because you get some bottom of the barrel teams.
Yeah, I'm talking Pioneer League.
I think I think some of the receivers could start at running back at some of these conferences. So there's that. But yeah, you look at Kalon Black, the freshman's really good. Juwan Hamilton's good. Austin Douglas got some run in this one. He was productive. Ariel Kelly had a carry. Alex Miller, the holder. Kyle Adams. They pretty much everyone on the team carried the ball, and everyone gained yardage, which I thought was interesting. So they did a heck of a job. They have a lot of running backs. What they didn't have their arguably the three best. Well, I don't know. Juwan Hamilton, I think, is probably in that mix, but three of the four best.
Not off the text I sent you earlier.
I'm a big Juwan Hamilton believer.
No, Juwan Hamilton was their only I don't want to say real back, was their only consistent back they had, because Latrell, Van Horst, and Percy were all out.
Yeah, and for them to still rush for 240 yards and 4 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry was pretty darn good. And I think those numbers, like if that happens in a normal week, not really a normal week, but in previous weeks, we would have been like, need more from the running game. And that's because the passing game had been so bad. Like if you can have the quarterback throw for 200 yards and not turn it over, and then the rushing game gets you 200 anything, like you're in a great spot.
I think the key with what you just said there is not turn it over. Because you could throw for 150, 125 yards as the quarterback, I feel like. And with this JMU run game, I feel like we're a broken record where we say this every week. But if you just manage the game quite literally and get 100 yards or something and just don't turn it over, that's the biggest part. Like, you're going to be in positions where you're blowing the other team out. But
you'll still definitely have a chance to win, but it's going to be uglier. Like the fact that he was able to actually complete passes and like open up the field.
Yeah.
Having not seen this, was something that was big. But from like what I read and all those things, like him completing passes, being efficient, they got Chris Thornton involved, and then was it Antoine Wells Jr. had a great game.
Yeah.
He's been really good for them.
Clayton Cheatham does what Clayton Cheatham does, adds yet another reception touchdown to his list. I just want to throw this out there. His career statistics, he has 22 receptions and 6 touchdowns. Like, I feel like that's a pretty good breakdown. His freshman year, he had 4 touchdowns on 8 catches. Like,
he's a touchdown machine. He's a touchdown machine. It's what he does. Did that even update with that's updated after this weekend? Does that have his touchdown? Sometimes they're slow on career.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure that was updated.
Okay.
I'm going in and checking again just for all of our listeners, because
I can't remember looking at it if he had 6 or 7. Moment of truth.
Bum, 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 bum. He had 1. Yeah.
So that's 6. He's caught a touchdown in, 3 different seasons?
Yep. He didn't catch a touchdown in 2018.
Gotcha. Yeah, he battled injury for a while, and now to have him back and healthy is good. But, hey, they played well. They won a game. I was excited about it. But they've got a significantly tougher test coming up.
Yeah, I mean, what, number 15 in the country?
Number 15, Richmond, yeah.
I don't think we've seen a ranked Richmond squad come into Harrisonburg in about 3 years. Ever since Kyle Lauletta left, it seems like they've been kind of doing their best to tread water is the nicest way to put it. I mean, I think JMU's probably outscored them 200-50 over the last 3 meetings. But now they bring in Joe Mancuso, who's been the quarterback, but I think he's finally grown into a capable starter in the CAA. He's, I think, 5th. He's 4th in pass efficiency in the CAA, but he leads the league in passing average per game and total offense. He's a quarterback that can throw it around really well. He can run it too, which is something that has kind of been a thorn in the side of JMU. I mean, we all remember the national championship game where Trey Lance had himself a day. I was expecting Hollis Mathis to kind of have himself a day with William and Mary, but he didn't play. But even Elon's third-string quarterback, who had some mobility, kind of gave JMU some issues early on in that game. They figured it out in the second half. But, I mean, it's been a common thread. JMU kind of struggles to contain mobile quarterbacks. And Joe Mancuso is a good passer for CAA standards and is a good runner for CAA quarterback standards. So what do you expect from the defense of JMU to try and slow down Mancuso? And
yeah, I mean, they've got –
Richmond also has a really good running back.
Yeah, Richmond's a good team. They're going to have to play solid football. I think the thing that stands out to me just looking at Mancuso, he hasn't thrown an interception this year. They've only played 3 games, but he hasn't thrown an interception.
Also, the 3 games are William and Mary, Elon, and Elon. Like,
yeah, because
that is a grain of salt that I think we all have to understand with this Richmond team.
But it is also the same grain of salt that you can hand to JMU having played
100%.
The exact same teams. Because
hey,
it's
we're number 1.
The CAA South, man. God, That's something else. So they obviously haven't played anyone, but like you were saying, they haven't even played a non-conference game. So we don't, they haven't gone up against the Robert Morris team. I don't think this is a complete aside. I don't think Robert Morris has played since losing to JMU. I was
I'm
looking
about
that
to
up the
look
other
it
day.
up
I was like, I think they're probably doing well in the Big South. And I was like, they haven't played a game. So I don't know what's happening with that. But anyway, Mancuso, no
now. No, they have not.
interceptions.
Their next game is April 3rd.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. They might not actually play that game. They might never play that game. But he hasn't thrown an interception. He's not like gonna kill you through the air, right? He's not someone who throws for 1,000,000 yards or anything like that. But
No, but he throws for 194 yards a game, which is really it's solid.
Yes, he does not shoot them in the foot, which is kind of important. And then you were saying, I mean, he runs the ball. He's got at least 48 rushing yards in all 3 games. He has a run of at least 20 yards in every game this year. I haven't looked too detailed into like how much sacks have potentially taken off those rushing totals. Like the guy's a productive rusher. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. That's dangerous for JMU because they haven't been, I mean, they've been pretty good defensively, but they haven't been great at times and historically. Mancuso's not Trey Lance, but he they've burned him a little bit with rushing quarterbacks. Richmond cares about this game. Yeah, they'll have a chance.
And this is a game I feel like we need to note that I can't wrap my head around how the CAA is doing these tiebreakers now because it makes absolutely no sense. I guess we'll talk about that. But before we get into that, this game is a playoff game. I mean,
yes.
In all honesty, I'm fairly certain Delaware is going to win out in the North. They look like a very good team. And their schedule, I don't think they have – I think they have
They barely have to play now. They were supposed to play Albany this weekend.
Yeah, but then Albany is now breaking news 30, 40 minutes ago, if you saw it on JMU Sports News Twitter. Shout out Bennett for getting that up there. Albany is opted out of the rest of the spring season. So Delaware has a no – I mean –
You want to know the rest of their schedule?
Yeah, I think Villanova's on there, right?
Villanova, the 17th, assuming that game happens. And then before that, so they don't play now this week. I would be shocked if they moved the game up to Saturday because that'd be really dumb. So then they're playing Delaware State on the 10th and then Villanova on the 17th.
Delaware State?
Delaware State. Gotta get those in-state products on the schedule,
But, I mean, at the end of the day, Delaware – we'll see how good Villanova is, but I think they're 1-1 right now, and they're not as great as we thought. This game, so what I was saying, this game is essentially a playoff game because if Richmond wins this, I think Chase Kitty tweeted this. If Richmond wins this game, they have no reason to reschedule the postponed game from a week or 2 weeks ago. Like they're going to drag their feet in rescheduling that. And then
I don't think they will.
Exactly. And then they'll play William and Mary one more time if that game's not postponed. And then you're looking at them being 4-0. No, you're looking at them being – I'm trying to do all the math in my head without looking at their website.
4-0.
Yeah, they'd be 4-0.
Unless they play William and Mary, then you get to 5.
And then JMU sitting at 3-1 or 4-1. And then they're not even in the running for the auto bid. And then you're looking at a resume of close win over Robert Morris, close win over a bad Elon team, a good win against William and Mary, a ranked loss, and then you'd probably end with a good win over Elon or William and Mary, whoever it is.
Yeah, it's Elon right now on the 10th. I think the same thing is true of JMU. If JMU beats Richmond, they're not rescheduling that game.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think they would.
That's a really good point. This is the game.
Yeah, I think both teams are going to try to play this one. It's more or less a playoff game. If you're JMU, then you play at home against Elon. And I would just say stop playing after that. Give yourself a bye week going into the playoffs. Yeah, I think it is a bye week then. I don't know, man. It's all kind of a joke. It's an important game. It's at Richmond, Saturday at noon. It's going to be a test for sure. I don't know. I mean, the spring season is kind of a joke. But for them to bounce back, I think brought a lot of JMU fans, myself included, having not watched it, a little bit back in. Just oh, okay, there's what they can do. There's what they're able to do. But it's an important game. It's a playoff game. Do you think they should go with Cole now that he had a good game? Do they go back to Gage? How are they going to handle that?
Thank you so much for bringing this up. No idea. I have no – I mean, you look at it. Gage has had, 2 good possessions this season?
Yeah.
And, I know Cole was really bad, and and there was like this breath of fresh air when Gage came in, and then we were all excited that he was going to be the starter. And then COVID protocols, he gets or whatever happened with him. I assume contact traced out of the game. Cole looked bad against Morehead State. He didn't look good against Robert Morris. He looked bad against Elon. He looked good against William and Mary. But then it's just such a tough question because, like, do you ride that hot hand? What an emotional roller coaster Cole has been on. Do you bench him again? Like, I'm going to say keep Cole. What do you say?
I'm playing them both. I would 100% give them both legitimate action. I would not be shocked if he did this. Spring season is pretty much a joke. You have no idea if your team's going to get COVID and get knocked out. He's like a 73rd year senior. I'm definitely playing him. I'm still playing Gage. Like, I would just play them both and see what the heck happens. And if one of them's like clearly better, like you both give him a couple early possessions, maybe you roll with that guy. If they're both good and you blow out Richmond playing two quarterbacks, like, what the heck? Now, realistically, they probably want one guy. You would probably want one guy going into the postseason where it's like, all right, this is our starting quarterback. If you're doing that, I would think you would have to go with Gage. But again, I don't know how much he has or has not practiced or what he's been able to do. I'm playing both against Richmond and then
figure it out from there. Fuck it.
Yes, that's my move.
But it's just such a crazy thing because, like you said, he's a 88th year senior, and he was given the starting job to start the season, and there was high hopes around him. And then he crashes and burns the first 3 weeks of the season, gets benched, and then COVID cancels 2 straight weeks of games. And then the starting quarterback is out, and you just got benched, but now you have to play, and each game's a playoff game at this point. It makes no sense.
It doesn't. I mean, I think Gage is probably more talented, but I think the way it worked was like kind of perfect for Cole, where after struggling at least, where they don't play for a couple weeks, he has time to just like gather his thoughts or whatever he's able to do.
Just sit in his apartment room and just sit and gather his
But then he plays against William and Mary, and like there's no pressure. Like, you're the guy today. Like, you could stink. Gage isn't even here. Kyle Adams is probably not coming in to save the day. Like, whatever happens, man. Like, we're down a bunch of people. The expectations are lowered. I think he was probably just free. And like,
I was going to say, do you think that had it? Like, do you think the fact that he knew it was him and only him, like,
huge?
Maybe it was like a Tua situation with Ryan Fitzpatrick behind him, where like Tua's always looking over his shoulder. You think Cole was always like, when's Gage coming in? When's coach going to put Gage in?
I think he was definitely a bit worried the way he was playing, and then to come in and have them like lean on him. And then he started off pretty well, and they scored. They're up 21-0 pretty darn quick. Ran that fake. I did see the fake field goal highlight. So I'm lying when I say I've seen nothing. But they ran that, which was cool. Got up big, and he played well. He just managed the game, did what he needed to do, and I don't know. I'd play them both, just see what happens. That's what I kind of wanted him to do at the beginning of the season. Not a full 2 quarterback system, but like
you wanted the Wildcat Gage system,
which I still think is good. I mean, like a power thing, like you got like Palmer and Gage back there. I'm not, if I'm a linebacker, which I would be a very undersized linebacker, I'm turning the other way, man. But I have no idea. I agree with you. I have absolutely no idea what they're going to do. And then, of course, Signetti was asked, and he's like, we'll have to figure it out. We'll have to play one of them. It was like, all right.
The question, the quote he gave was so terrible, too. He was just like, well, both guys are liked in the locker room, and they're both really good guys and just good players. And there's no – what was the word he used? There's no
controversy.
There's no controversy there. And it's like, that's not – the controversy we were worried about as fans who want to see you win.
I'm not like, who do they rally around? No, it's like, who are you going to play? That's the controversy. But maybe he'll play both. Maybe he'll play none. Maybe it'll be a Kyle Adams situation.
It also didn't sound like he was 100% sure Gage was going to be able to go.
That would be important also. So
like, it sounded like he was like, if I have both.
Because Percy traveled with the team, I had read.
Okay.
To William and Mary.
Out.
To William and Mary, but he had come back from, I believe, COVID protocols on like Friday, and Signetti was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna like,
I'm not gonna
have you come back from that and then like get beat up in a game. So I think he'll be back at least. I imagine they'll get a decent amount back because you've got, a week between games. You think a lot of these protocols are going. They've had the virus issues for a while. So you imagine guys would kind of filter back in. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It's going to be weird. Signetti maybe doesn't know. He also certainly won't give anything away that Richmond could read or see and know who they're playing. They now have to prepare basically for 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, that's the smart thing to do. If you're a coach and you are in that situation, 100% do not tell the media. It's also funny. He had another quote where he's like, I stopped being the social distance coordinator and started being a coach. And he said that like that was some huge like thing. And I don't think anyone pointed out that like, coach, you didn't do a good job of being the social distance coordinator though. Like, your team was out for 2 weeks because of contact trace. Like it wasn't COVID that wiped out the team. It was contact tracing. Because
there's
social distance coordinate well.
There's pretty extensive. I mean, it's hard when you're playing a contact sport. But yeah, I mean, I think at this point, it sounded like he was just like, let's just like play football like we would. And like that will make them better at football. And we'll just do that and play football. And it's like, I mean, you've already had a massive outbreak. So yeah, like whatever.
Just go out there and play.
I guess. I don't know. So we'll see what ends up happening with all of it. I mean, I guess on the positive, it sounded like almost all of them from what he was saying were like asymptomatic or very minimal symptoms. So I think everyone's pretty healthy, and obviously they'll monitor them to make sure that they continue to stay healthy. But from that perspective, if it's, minor infections, they're able to stay healthy and keep an eye on their long-term health and things like that. Well, you just got a lot of people that are going to have antibodies. Like, I mean, it is the herd immunity thing that like sounds horrible, but like that's kind of what teams are doing. I know at least the ACC, if you had it, you didn't have to get tested again for 90 days. They assumed there was at least 90 days of immunity. So you got it. You got 3 months clear, or you're just going to just play whatever you're doing. So if you go by that logic, they'll go through May, which is when they play the national title.
Well, it's kind of smart. I mean, that's like the LSU logic,
Yeah, LSU has done a great job of how they carry their program in a lot of ways. No, but hopefully everyone's able to, stay healthy and get back, and they won't have too many infections and they can play in the playoffs. I have a feeling that my excitement will come back to the playoffs.
I do too. I have a feeling after Monday, my excitement will be back.
If we lose, I'm done though.
If we lose, we're out of the playoffs.
Yeah, well, that's why I keep saying the playoffs. We could lose this game.
There's no conceivable way, and I imagine JMU fans are going to be in our mentions upset about what I'm about to say. There's no conceivable way that this JMU team with 1 loss can get in.
I can maybe though.
No,
the committee is bad.
But if Delaware wins out and they get the automatic bid,
that would be the issue. Then you'd have to get 3 of us, 3 CAA teams in. Yeah, that would be the concern.
And
it would be hard to do. Yeah, it could happen. It could happen. If we lose by like 1 in overtime, maybe.
That's literally impossible. Actually, that's not impossible in this
point.
Never mind.
It's like, we'll see. We'll see if it does happen or whatever. Hopefully they just win. That would be
yeah.
That'd be ideal.
If they can win and then we can make it through the national championship in basketball, I will be all in on the team, and I will.
That's true, because then there will be kind of a lull. Interesting. Anyway, I was going to say that I think they're going to play not that well this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I think that maybe they'll build on it. Like, that's what I'm hoping. There's like 40% of me that's like, yep, they'll build on this. And then there's a 60% that's like, they had no pressure on them. They played a William & Mary team that was down like its 2 best players, and they just came out firing. We're up a bunch early, cruised to a win, and they were feeling great. And now they have to come back and bounce back, work people back into the mix, and play a team that's significantly better on the road again. I think it'll be a challenge. So I don't have the same, I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think Richmond's going to have a legitimate chance to win. I could be very wrong, because I've thought that a lot about the power programs. I'm like, wow, North Dakota State, look out this week. And then they beat North Dakota by a lot. And I was like, oh. So at the same time, don't ever doubt the 3 power programs.
It's also the point. I mean, we saw it against Morehead State, where you're hyped up to start your season again.
Right.
They go out and just obliterate them to start the game. And then Robert Morris and then Elon, you have these really slow starts, and it takes until the second half to get anything going. And then again, coming out of the pause, you're so hyped up. there isn't any extra motivation that needs to be given to the guys because they just want to get out there and play. And coming out of these pauses, coming out of the season, the off season, they're firing off the blocks. They're getting these big time wins, these awesome starts. It is going to be key to not have a slow start because against Richmond, I don't think if they're down 11 points going into the fourth quarter, they're winning the game. Like if they have a Robert Morris or Elon showing, they are not winning this game. And it might get ugly. Granted, I do think it'll be a little bit better for them. I think this is going to be a very competitive game, and it's going to be I think it's going to be an old school Richmond game. The types of the 2015s, 2016s, probably 2014s too.
Yeah, first ranked test of the season. If they can get through it, it'd obviously be a heck of a win. And then you look at their resume, and 3 of the 5 wins, all conference wins, will be on the road. So not that that's all that valuable with like no fans, and NCAA teams don't ever have fans, but aside from JMU. But I think it'll be valuable to have that on the resume. I think JMU is still, as weird as it is, like they're still in the mix for the number 1 seed, I would think.
Yeah, well, no, it does sound like we're doomsdayers, doesn't it? Like we're like, if they lose this, they're out of the playoffs, which I mean,
but
they are.
It could be right. It's like you're a 1 seed, you're not playing in late April.
Because it's so tough with this spring season. Like, as I get completely readjusted here. It's so tough with this spring season. And I feel like this podcast is now kind of divulged into us complaining about the spring season and the weirdness of it all. And I promise we'll eventually get back to analysis here. But it's just, I don't get it. Like,
well, also
it's just laid out so weird.
Yeah, the records are weird. It doesn't make any sense. You've got some limited non-conference stuff. Weber State, pretty clearly a fraud. North Dakota State, pretty clearly a fraud. Sam Houston State, a fraud as per usual. South Dakota State, I think, is a fraud. At the end of the day, we're the only team that can win the national title, and it would make sense.
I think every single team, I'm going to build off of your fake take, and I'm going to give a real take. I think every team this spring season is a fraud in some way. Like,
yes.
Like,
I think
if North Dakota State loses, I'm not going to be surprised.
I would take the field over JMU and North Dakota State in the playoffs.
That's bold.
I think also North Dakota State has COVID.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out, that like they're barely even playing, and they're supposed to play Northern Iowa and South Dakota State now that end their season on the 10th and 17th. And then they would play. Yeah, they're losing both those. They're not even a playoff team.
If they lose one of those, again, I think they're in kind of like a JMU situation where they have to win out. It's just the craziness of the spring season. So limited number of games, your resume is only against your conference, and that's kind of a curse and a blessing. I mean, for the Valley teams, it's a blessing, but if you're in the CAA North, it's a blessing too. But if you're in the CAA South and your resume is William and Mary Richmond, a ranked Richmond and Elon, like,
gives you a good chance to be undefeated, though. And that undefeated. Well, then we got to talk. Let's say Delaware's undefeated, which seems realistic. JMU's undefeated. You go by conference winning percentage. If they're both undefeated in conference, that's the same winning percentage, obviously. The tiebreakers don't make a ton of sense. Greg Medea is reporting that they might just have a conference call with the athletic directors, not of those teams, who will just decide.
That sounds – okay, I truly do not – okay, if you have the same winning percentage – and one of the teams has more wins, doesn't it make sense to then go with the team who had more opportunities to lose?
At the same time, is it JMU's fault that they only got to play however many games?
Yes, because both of the postponements.
Well, also now it's going to be
now
it's probably going to be a tie, though, or maybe even an edge to JMU, because they're not playing Albany. Then they have Delaware State, which is non-conference. Yeah. Then they have Villanova, so they might only get to 4-0.
And JMU will get to potentially 5-0.
I think that's right, yeah.
Because they're 3-0 now. No, they're 2-0.
No, they would just tie them before then, right? Yeah, they would tie them at 4.
For a JMU podcast, sometimes we're really just completely unaware of things that are happening.
They would tie them at 4. But that's not even a consideration for whatever reason. So they're doing winning percentage. And then it was talking about, originally it was going to be like point scoring margin, but only to a certain – it didn't make any sense. The tiebreakers were remarkably dumb. So now it just sounds like they're going to go even dumber and be like, who do we think? And JMU, who just takes Flow Sports to town and rips on the league all the time.
Yeah, they're like,
now
all right,
has to hope.
do we want all the athletic directors come together and they're like, okay, so do you want this bully, or do you want the fresh new upstart that had a really good season in the difficult North? And everyone's going to be like,
it's not. And Delaware looks darn good. I don't think it's crazy to think that Delaware could get the auto bid and JMU could be the 1 seed.
Didn't we talk about
actually
this?
That would be genius if you're the conference. Well,
Yeah.
no, if they're undefeated, they should get in anyway. But I guess just stick Delaware in, give them the automatic thing, which will probably carry a little weight seating-wise. Then also give JMU – I don't know how it works.
Oh, no. If you're an athletic director, you would have to assume an undefeated JMU team. You would have to – but you would assume both of them are getting in, right?
Both would get in. I wonder if the committee is dumb enough that they'd be like, wow. Delaware automatic qualifier. They should be a 5 seed because of that instead of unseeded. They might be that dumb. I don't know who's on the committee.
You're really trashing the committee today.
I think people are going to look at the seeding and be like, "What in the world is this?" on the Selection Sunday.
I have a feeling we're going to see some really I feel like Nichols is going to be like a 4 seed, and Sam Houston's going to be like a 3.
Hopefully, Jamie's 1.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if they were unranked?
I mean, they did it before when I thought they were worthy of a seed, and then they lost to Colgate. So
who knows? Okay, so what is JMU? Back to a little bit of analysis before we jump into our CAA weekly pick'em. A little bit of analysis. What does JMU have to do to beat Richmond? We've talked about how Mancuso's a really good running back. Aaron Dykes is a good – did I say running back? Mancuso's a great quarterback. Aaron Dykes is a good running back for Richmond. They have a pretty good offense, pretty solid defense. They're competent on both sides of the football. What does JMU – give me 3 keys to the game.
You're going to have to score more than Richmond. That's the one that every time I look at this game that stands out. No, I'll say whoever the quarterback is, they just have to – whoever the quarterback is, don't turn the ball over or turn it over once. I think that'll be important if they can limit turnovers. Second, I think just, do what you do, pound the rock. So run the ball a bunch, try to limit turnovers. And then defensively, they need to just not get gashed in the first half. That's kind of the thing. If they can lead at halftime or be in the game after a quarter or whatever, I think JMU typically gets stronger as the game goes on, especially with that running attack, and they've kind of shown that this year. So I think if the defense doesn't have to make all these crazy adjustments and after getting burned early, I think they'll be good. So I want to, run the ball. I think if they run the ball well, don't turn it over, and then a fast start seems paramount for this team.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think another huge key is containing the QB. I just think back to the first half of the Elon game when I think his name was J.R. Martin, had a little bit of mobility and was just maneuvering around, and the defensive line just couldn't get there. And Mancuso was a lot better than a third-string quarterback at Elon.
Mancuso's an NFL kid, you were saying earlier off air.
I don't think I was. I think that was you. I think you were the one that said we have 6 NFL caliber quarterbacks in the CAA right now, which is blatantly
wrong. 4 of which are on Jamie's roster.
I hate you.
1 of which is Latrell Palmer, Wildcat quarterback.
But yeah, Mancuso has a 138 rating.
He's a good player.
68% of his passes thrown for 500, almost 600 yards in 3 games.
Well, he's experienced too.
Yeah,
he's been around the block.
Senior.
Yeah, he's been around a while. He's a team captain. He's a guy who I'm assuming has never. No, I guess no. He's probably never beaten JMU.
No, he's never.
Yeah, so I mean that's got to be on his mind. It's something he wants to do. I mean he's shown flashes in previous seasons. It seems like he's sort of become more consistent now, and it's just limiting those mistakes and doing a nice job. But I mean, last year or 2019, he ran for 10 touchdowns, the most of any CAA quarterback. He can play.
Yeah, and you're saying it. He limits his mistakes. JMU lives and dies with especially with the secondary this season, lives and dies by forcing turnovers. And if they can't get an extra possession here or there, it's going to be imperative that whoever is the quarterback and really whoever's the running back doesn't make stupid turnover decisions, because they're not going to get that back. At the end of the day, if you turn the ball over, you're probably going to lose the turnover battle because you're not going to. That was a really stupid thing for me to say, of course. But you know what I mean. Like, they're not going to turn it over back to you. So if you get I'm just.
It's not one of those games where you can like realistically turn it over 2 or 3 times and still expect to force 2 or 3. So it's like you're saying. So you gotta limit them because Richmond has a veteran quarterback. They've got a good running back. They don't make a ton of dumb mistakes. So if you're making them, they'll go out and beat you. And they want to make the playoffs too, right? This is a proud program that wants to have some success. They're used to having competitive games and beating JMU in the past. So they're going to come out there expecting to win and playing with an opportunity to win. They're at home. Bridgeford East, I think, is Bridgeford West, East. I don't know.
East.
People will talk about. So go in there and hopefully find a way to pick up a ranked victory and, shut the national people up. Sam Herder, we're looking at you going against our resume.
Our resume does suck, though. Okay, time for the CAA Weekly Pick'em. It's a time of the episode that everyone loves. You ready?
I'm very ready. Let's do it.
You're 9-4. I'm 7-6.
Shocker.
Last week I didn't publish the picks, but last week Bennett and I had all the same picks except he picked JMU and I picked William and Mary.
Ooh.
Serves me right for fading the Dukes. This week we got Maine hosting Villanova. Villanova's
great game
back after, I think, 2 weeks of no games, and Maine is coming off of a bye week after getting thrashed by Delaware in week 1. Maine has slowly rattled off a few wins, and they're looking pretty solid. Granted, the wins were against Albany and Stony Brook. Who do you got?
I mean, would anyone be surprised if both these teams just met up and shook hands and were like, you know what, we're both opting out of the spring? I wouldn't be. It's in Maine, so that's interesting to me. Villanova has not been overly impressive. I don't remember who has had the COVID pauses or who hasn't. I think New Hampshire had the COVID pause.
Yeah.
That kept them. Gosh. I'll say Villanova. I'll take Villanova.
I like it. See, this one's tough.
It is tough.
Because I like Villanova. I like Daniel Smith. If you have one of the top QBs in the conference,
he's an NFL guy.
Your odds of I'm going to ignore you. Your odds of winning are pretty good. I'm going to go with Villanova as well.
Interesting.
Okay, next up, that's been canceled. JMU Richmond.
Man, I feel like Richmond's actually a trendy play here. Kind of a trendy pick. The thing is, every time I think that like a power might struggle,
they don't.
They always like punch back. South Dakota State's rallied, North Dakota State's rallied, JMU's rallied. I think there's something to be said for having better players than everyone else.
Like at the end of the day, JMU has. And
these programs all have better players. So I think JMU will. I think it's gonna be competitive, but I think JMU will win 31-24. 6 OTs, so I think it'll be a shutout going into overtime, and then however the math works on that.
You think OT?
No, I don't actually think OT, but 31-24, I think it'll be competitive.
Okay, I could dig that. I'm going JMU. I'm going to go 24-17.
How many overtimes?
15.
Wow.
All right, next
game.
Rhode Island plays host to New Hampshire. New Hampshire has played one game this season. It was the Friday Night Lights opening game of the CAA season where they lost to Albany, who is now – let this sink in. UNH played a game against Albany. Albany then played out and then opted out of their season all before New Hampshire played another game. So – who do you got? Rhode Island.
Who are they playing? Rhode Island? Oh, I'll take Rhode Island by a lot. I mean, New Hampshire hasn't played. Rhode Island's looking good. Rhode Island typically trots out. They use quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, offensive linemen. From what I know about them, they'll use
all those.
They'll put. I don't know if they run 11 personnel, but they'll run 11 guys out there on both sides of the ball, and they just do what they can. So I'll take Rhode Island.
I worry because looking at everything, I wasn't able to watch. I mean, I wasn't really able to watch a lot of games last weekend. But
this is the best. It's like we aren't well versed in the subject matter, but here we go.
Normally we are.
No, we do a good job. We do such a good job, Jack.
But I think we just kind of took this last week off, and you can probably kind of tell in this podcast. But this is just a fun one. We're just having fun. We're just talking.
Spring season, we opted out of watching.
I'll watch this week. I actually see. Here's the thing. Before I make the pick, Rhode Island. I'm picking Rhode Island. Normally, I work Saturday days, for work, and so like I can be watching basketball. I can be doing my work, and then I can have my personal computer set up to the side, and I just have like 3 tabs open of all the games that are happening, and I'll just jump through and catch some stuff and work and do all of that. But I was off this Saturday, so of course I'm not going to sit and watch terrible FCS spring football,
including JMU. Well said.
No,
terrible FCS.
We've really trashed on like everything football wise. Maybe we should just scrap this episode altogether.
Shoot it to the moon. No, this is a good one. This is good. People will enjoy this.
Let's hope. If you enjoyed it, let us know. I do love FCS football. Don't get me wrong, but
yes, spring has been, it's been particularly bad. I think in terms of quality of play,
it's been bad in that quality. It's just I can't get into a groove of it. Like every time I feel like I'm like, okay, this is what's happening this weekend. Albany opts out. JMU's out for 2 weeks. Like every time you think something's going, you're excited for North Dakota State, South Dakota State in a huge game, and then it gets postponed. Like
I mean, you have to. It brings me back to Kim Mulkey, and you have to wonder if we could just play these games without testing. Like the kids would much prefer it.
On a quick question, I think you brought it up. You think like her team was just playing with like a bunch of COVID positive?
Yeah. You know what? They should just not text you guys. Yeah. Just don't test. I think actually everyone's fine. Anyway, we're going home. Classic. Do you see her? The way she was fit. Well, they asked her something else in the post-game presser. She had a mask on her face. I don't know if I have one readily available to
pulled it down to answer the question.
Here, it was like I'll reenact it here for our people who watch this. But she had it like this, and it was somehow like getting all over her face, kind of like this. And she was like fiddling with it, and she's like, "What do you think?"
That was my favorite when she leaned into the mic. She's like, "What do you think? Write it that way."
Yeah.
And it's just like, Coach, I'm a reporter. I can't put my opinion in.
Yeah, she's like, "You don't need a quote from me." It's like that's the exact opposite of what is true. She definitely needs a quote from you.
Was that a foul? Was it a foul or no foul?
She got hacked. That was a foul. But UConn, look, Paige Beckers is elite. UConn's awesome. I've really enjoyed the women's tournament from what I've been able to watch, and I'm looking forward to the Final Four.
Here's my take.
Yeah, Baylor's a good team.
I hate and don't hate. I hate when it happens against my team, but I don't hate it when it happens again in just like a good game, when the ref swallows their whistle late.
Yes. Yeah, like just call it like you normally would if someone gets hacked. Just call it. The let them play thing is always funny. And people are like, final 5 seconds, just let the players decide it so they hit someone in the face. Final 5 seconds. Got to call a foul in that situation, in my opinion.
Did she initiate the contact?
No, she hit her in the face.
I don't know, man.
That was a foul. Anyway.
Baylor didn't UConn retake the lead on like a 19 or something?
Yeah, and Kim Mulkey decided not to call a timeout during like any of that.
So I blame that on Baylor. Like
they could have won the game, sure.
It's kind of like the JMU Elon debate we had, like in that.
Well,
game.
That was
the tech hurt, but at the same time you were up.
That cost JMU would probably be in the Final Four if it wasn't for that tech. So that's frustrating. Oh, we have to mention while we're on it quickly. Zach Jacobs is gonna be in the slam dunk contest Thursday night, 9:00 on ESPN2. I've never seen him dunk, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's the dunk 3-point contest, and
But
Bennett asked me that, and he was like, "Is he competing in the dunk?" And I was like, "It makes more sense if he was in the 3-point, though."
But he's like a 15% 3-point shooter.
Yeah, but he's like a 0% dunker.
I don't remember him dunking, honestly, at JMU. Like, he's good, scored in the post, got a lot better. But if you told me, like, one player from JMU's in the dunk contest, I'd be like, oh, cool, Justin Amati gets to be in the dunk contest. And then if they're like, no, it's someone else, I'd be like, oh, like Wooden or
Matt
not
Lewis.
Christmas anymore. Yeah, Lewis or Edwards or someone. It's Zach Jacobs. So he's definitely going to throw down like 360, like between the legs. We're going to be like, where was this?
I hope so. I hope he just does something completely crazy that we're all like, where was that for 4 years?
It's funny because he was
come back?
He's not coming back.
Oh.
He's such a fundamentally sound player. I would not be surprised if he grabs it, runs up, and just does like a form layup.
Just
not even a dunk. Just like he just does a post move, a little hook, and then runs back on defense. Anyway, do we have any picks left?
No, that was it because then William and Mary Elon has been postponed. There's 3 games this weekend.
That's sickening.
I don't think there's been a full weekend of games.
We picked 3 games? Yeah, we did.
There's been 1 full weekend of games.
It's going to be kind of impossible for you to come back given this schedule. 2-game lead feels monumental. And do we pick the same teams?
We did this week.
Yeah, you're done. You're done for.
Well, no, because next week we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sure we do. Yeah, come Wednesday when there's 1 game.
And then
every team in the CAA has opted out except JMU and Delaware.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if that happened? Like that was the end of after Richmond loses this weekend, Richmond's like, we're done for the season.
The best is that like none of these teams, well, they're not going to do a conference title game. And like barely any of the teams are going to want to play on the 17th, I would think. They could have just done that instead of this like conference call where the athletic directors are like, what do you like more? But whatever, God forbid.
I agree. I think the fact that they're not doing a conference championship in this type of setup is abysmal to the CAA, abysmal to the players, and the fact that it's being put into the hands of athletic directors is just mind-bogglingly stupid.
They probably watched less than we have, so they want what they're talking about.
You know, that's not a crazy thing to say because before this weekend, I was watching at least 2 CAA games a weekend.
Oh, I just got a pet sitter job.
Oh, you're a pet sitter now. Everyone, if you need a pet sitter and you're in the Charlottesville area, please hit up.
Some random person, someone emailed and they just said, I do pet sitting. And it could be spam, could be an opportunity. So hopefully it is. Do we want to hit the other sports? Real quick hitter.
Yeah, hit me with the other sports.
I just want to talk about softball. Softball's 11-1, 2-1 in the conference. Undefeated season is gone. Lost 5-4 to Elon. Second game of a doubleheader. They won the series, but hurts. I'm not gonna lie and say it doesn't hurt. They're supposed to play today against George Washington. Look out your window. It's raining. They're not playing today. Called it off because of rain. That's frustrating. Love this team though. Odyssey Alexander hasn't even played much. I don't know why. I won't speculate because I'm not in the know.
Well, didn't she stop playing last season late?
She got hurt last season though. She was dealing with an injury thing. I don't know if this is that or if it's the virus. It's unclear though. But anyway, they've done Alexis Bermudez has done a nice job. And then Alyssa Humphrey, Jacksonville transfer. Everybody, hey-o, little Jacksonville shout out. I think she's 6-0. That's probably wrong. She's probably got more wins than that. Let me check. No, she's 6-0. 6-0 in the circle, ERA of 1.03.
That's pretty good.
Very good. She's pitched 40 and 2/3 innings, leads the team by a mile. 68 strikeouts. Alyssa Humphrey doesn't mess around. She's got 68 strikeouts and 40 and 2/3 innings. This girl can pitch. She's young. She's just a freshman from Gainesville, or she went to high school, Gainesville. My canopy, Florida. It's a hard thing to say. So we'll have to get Alyssa on to clarify. But she's pretty darn good. They're playing well. Can't say much else. Baseball. We got to talk about baseball, actually.
Well, real quick before baseball,
yes.
Quick shout out to the women's tennis team. 4-0 in conference play. They've lost only 1 set all conference play this season.
They're wild.
Which was against Elon. Coming up on Friday, April 2nd, they face off with number 47 Charlotte.
1 set. Is that right? Or
what?
Like one of the they've only lost 1 set.
Oh, my fault. Not set. Match.
Oh my God. I was like, oh my God, they're way better than I thought.
Which is still good. I mean, what, the 7-0?
No, that's still incredible. They're stacked. But I was like, oh my God, I should have included that in the newsletter. I should have included the other part.
But yeah, they're just having a really good season, and everything's lining up for them to make a really strong run to the CAA Championship and win another and bring home some more hardware.
Heck yeah.
Give me baseball. What's happening with baseball? I haven't even seen like JMU tweets about them or anything.
Baseball hasn't played a game since the 14th of March.
Since our breakdown with Nick Stevens, they were like,
So
"That's it.
we
We're done,
cursed them.
guys."
They had the Elon series canceled.
That was so weird.
They were going to play at Elon, then there was a COVID issue. But then Elon was supposed to come to Harrisonburg, and Elon was like, "No thanks, we're going to play ECU." So they just bailed on that series and decided to play East Carolina. Have no idea how that is allowed, but it appears that they just completely bailed because JMU was looking for games. It seemed like
they bailed, and JMU was like, and Elon was like, "We're playing ECU now, haha." How is that allowed? You had a scheduled game, like what?
A conference game. It's trash, man. It's sickening. But whatever the conference is doing, fine. You don't want to play us. You're scared of us. Fine. Did VMI opt out of its season?
That's what I was about to ask because
why are they not playing on the 13th? That seems way whatever.
But now they should be playing on Friday, the 2nd of April, against College of Charleston for a 3-game series, and
Allegedly.
then after that, UNCW should be coming in for another 3-game series. Fingers crossed that happens.
Allegedly, first conference games of the year. They need to go out and get some wins.
What are they? 3-6.
Yeah, it's just not what we want from them. Who else we got competing? I don't know. Lacrosse is playing. Soccer's out. The Soccers have been playing. Men's soccer's doing a good job. I think they're up to top 15 in a poll. Lacrosse is 4-3. Played Virginia close, but lost. They're playing Liberty Thursday. Probably listening to this. Watch that on ESPN Plus.
Swim and dive doing a really good job this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and volleyball's been good. Volleyball's been really good.
Oh yeah, volleyball's been balling.
They've been competing, and they've got they played the volleyball championship starting Friday. They play Northeastern in the semis, and then championship on Saturday if they can get there. So, got a chance to win a conference crown for Steinbrecher, who just got her 200th career win.
Good for her. I really love all of the the athlete and coach Nike apparel. So if JMU, if you're listening to this, please sell it because
they're always listening.
That was a really nice Nike jacket that Steinbrecher had on.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool if they wanted to. I don't know if JMU wants to give us free gear or whatever. We're not going to say no. I'll send it. We'll start talking a little more kindly about some of the teams.
I think this was probably, as we finish the ramble on of this episode, I think this was the nicest we've been to JMU sports all season. Normally, there's basketball we normally are really mean to.
Not this year, not with Coach Byington. Oh, transfer portal, keep an eye out on that. There are a few guys that I like. Every high major caliber guy I think would be a huge get. If JMU could add like 3 7-footers, a couple of like 50% 3-point shooters, the more pros you have, the better. So
Joel Mensah entered his name into the transfer portal,
we're losing Joel Mensah. He got his conference player of the year like we predicted, and now he's moving on to new things.
Talk about freezing cold takes of ours.
Freezing cold. We're like, this guy is going to be the most dominant big man in the conference. He didn't play.
Well, yeah, when you're 7-1, you have at least some expectations of being the most dominant big man in a conference whose tallest player is 6'8".
I mean, Walker Kessler is going to have a chance if he picks correctly. Takes the Dukes.
All right. With that being said, thank you guys for listening to this this interesting episode of the JMU Sports News Podcast. We'll be back. We'll actually watch games this week. We'll be back next week. We'll have some good we'll have good analysis. Please don't leave us. It's the spring. We're tired.
We'll actually watch games this week needs to be your poll quote. We'll watch it, I guess. We have to.
I think it's just crazy how quick I soured on this spring season.
Yeah, me too. The NCAA tournament has been a lot of fun. It's hard to have that much space in my life for college sports.
Yeah, especially that you cover college sports for a living.
Yeah, it's like I'm at a game, so then you want me to also stream the NCAA tournament while I'm watching the baseball game and a JMU football game? I'm not a lunatic.
All right. With all that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead and give us a like on Facebook, JMU Sports News in the search bar. You can find us on Twitter at JMU Sports News and find us at our home on the web, jmusportsnews.com. Every week we have the CAA power rankings, and you can jump in our mentions and call me stupid for all you want. For Bennett Conlon, my name is Jack.
You should probably block them.
And only that one guy who started getting like really personal and has very awkward tweets. So for Bennett Conlon, my name is Jack Fitzpatrick. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you.